You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just text FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911 right now to get started. That's FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911. Auto financing the easy way. Text FINANCE to 357-911.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to For Immediate Release. It's New Year's Eve, 2018, the last day of the year. This is Liz Feld, and I'm joined by my co-host, Bill O'Reilly. Billy?
How are you, Liz? Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year to you, too. We have so much to catch up on.
You
How
know,
are you doing? Are you feeling rested?
I first have a very pressing question, and it's a genuine question. I've never known the answer, and I'm going to hit you with it now. Why do we have to capitalize New Year's? Are we saying Happy New Year, or are we saying Happy New Year's Eve? I've never understood that. What are we doing here?
That's it. Well, I actually sometimes, how about Happy 2019, and then we've got it
covered. Happy 2019. You got it covered. See, you paid attention in school. I was the guy in the back of the class with spitballs.
Well, that's a good question, because it's not like it's a month, right? Yeah, I mean, I would say that was maybe at one point was the reason. Maybe because it's a holiday. Christmas is capitalized, Passover is capitalized, Thanksgiving is capitalized. Is that why?
Yeah. I guess so. It must be for the New Year's Eve or the New Year's Day. Because it just came up because I was sending an email to a reporter at a very fancy publication, and I thought, don't make a typo here, And I was saying, and Happy New Year at the end, and I was like, if you say Happy New Year, is it caps or not? If it's singular. But
I've never seen it not. The question is, why is Eve?
I went lowercase.
Did you look it up?
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I didn't look it up. I called you.
You're the expert. Well, listen. You're the expert.
I called for immediate release. I called him for immediate release.
Are you feeling like it's the end of the year, small-wise?
Kind of. We're here in the Northeast. It's a little bit warm. I think it's going to be 52 degrees tomorrow, and so it's not feeling that much like the end of the year, but I guess it is because we've done Christmas, which I can't believe, and then it's been so weird with both holidays falling in the middle of the week or close to the middle of the week, and it's just been a mess of 2 weeks, isn't it? I have no idea what day it is.
Well, it's funny. Everybody I talked to has said the same thing you just said, and I put myself in the same boat. It's very confusing, this Monday, Tuesday business. And I am surprised that so many people are working today, and I know most people are really back at it this Wednesday, maybe because they feel like they've already had enough time off. Usually you try to stretch it out into the next weekend, but I guess a lot of people checked out really about the 20th, so it's been a long stretch.
I think the bill comes due on Wednesday for a lot of us. I know it does for me.
Have you been able to take a break from cable news and all of that stuff and really just enjoy your family?
Just did a couple of shows during the week and so it's been I've taken more of a break than I really should have, but I kind of like this Tuesday routine, and Wednesday would be all right as well. But and I know a lot of people, or most people probably are going because they've defined schedules with offices and non-office jobs. But so I've been lucky on the consulting side where I'm kind of working around other clients, and everyone seems to be not doing a lot, and it's been nice. So it's been pretty good. But I'm getting bored.
And
so
I saw a couple of reports that it was a good retail season for the small business and big business.
I saw it too, record numbers, which is great.
Right.
Yeah.
Despite the crazy swings in the stock market over the last 10 days, the shopping held steady, which is always a good thing. I did my part. Did you?
I did my part, and I hate to say it, I'm mostly buying cheap Chinese products, And it's like I swear every year, it's like I'm gonna give up sugar every year, which is gonna be my resolution again, and which will last as long as possible. It's that, and I'm gonna stop buying all these Chinese products. Good luck.
Funny you said that. I thought you were gonna say cheap Chinese food, which is actually what I had last night. It wasn't that funny, by the way.
I just thought of a great joke that I can't tell.
No. Is one of your resolutions buy American?
One of my resolutions is always buy American. I do it, and I look outside my window and I'm looking at my Mexican-made Fords, or Mexico-made Fords. But I always try and do that, but it just, the more you learn about what China does and how it cheats and the rest of the stuff, I always swear off the stuff, but at the same time, you've got to run to Target and buy things. I think it's easier to look up like the sugar content on something and than to find out where it's made. I mean, I know it's just made in China, but it's like everything. It's hard. But I'm saying it's hard not to buy, Chinese products, and there's just so many. And if you buy a product that you think is American made, the components are made in China. So I guess good for China, but not so good for all of our workers. So we try.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't have an American car. I always had a Ford for a long time.
I remember.
We had Explorers every cycle. We'd just, we'd run them into the ground, then give them to the kids, and when they would run them even further into the ground.
Exactly.
But
they run them into the mud.
Cooper, which is a BMW engine, which is great. It's not, it's not great in 2 feet of snow, but it's great on gas, and it's a great engine.
I've wanted one of those cars for years. I have to,
Yeah.
If
it is fun.
It's got to be fun. Is it still fun?
It's great. And it's a convertible, so it's really fun from about May 1st, maybe April 1st till October.
You're very cool.
Well, you can't fit a lot of big people in it, though.
But that's the idea. Right. So I can't take you along. Yeah.
It is the idea. So were your holidays affected by the government shutdown? Are you a non-essential employee? Are you furloughed? Are you?
No, I got nothing going on this, and I with that danger of enraging federal employees, I always love when they do that, and I think we've talked about it on the show when they say, non-essential employees stay at home, and I think you stay at home permanently if you're not essential. But that's conservative in me talking. But it does. I gotta tell you, it doesn't bother me. I do feel bad for people, obviously, that are not getting paid. I mean, people are getting by on mortgages, and everybody's tight. So that's a big factor. And that aside, though, it doesn't bother me that much. I mean, I think we need border security as much as anybody. I'm not sure that the concrete wall is the total solution, but it's part of a package of solution. So I actually think it's a good place for this president to do it. I don't think it hurts his brand with the people that he cares about most.
And no matter how long it goes on, do you think that you'll be saying the same thing a month from now?
I do, because I assume the Democrats break first because they have more programs that they want to get back into order.
They want funded.
It'll turn on everybody eventually. And the thing is, Trump doesn't really care, and that's of course that's the advantage that he has over traditional politicians. And I'm not a big Trump guy at all, but in something like this, he's holding the cards, I think, because I don't think he's bluffing. I don't think he really cares that much about the other stuff. The military he does, and other very essential things. But there's something about, and I don't even want to say it the same sentence, because I hate when people mention Trump's name in the same sentence with Ronald Reagan, but it's Reagan firing the air traffic controllers. There's this is what we're doing, period. There's something kind of assuring about that in leadership, but I don't know. A lot of people have turned on Trump for a lot of reasons, and this seems to be another one of them. It doesn't bother me.
And do you think he's sticking with this because it was a campaign promise, or do you think he really believes it, or both?
I think it's I think Steve Bannon's calling him and saying this was a campaign promise, but I think also I mean, I don't know what the polling shows on immigration issues, but I could sense just anecdotally that the polling among Trump's base on the immigration issue is, 90 to 10 in favor of toughening things up. And I think people realize that we're never going to pack up, all people here illegally and send them overseas. It would hurt the country more than it would hurt them, just because people are so, ingratiated and ingrained in our economy and society. But you still, you can't have a system that's reckless and, porous. There's got to be a system, and we're still not any closer. So I think with Trump, taking a hard line on the wall again, whether it's the best, ultimate solution or not, or just part of it, doesn't hurt him whatsoever. I mean, I think it's right to his core message. And so I don't see how he loses anything. I mean, he may not stand for re-election, he may not win re-election, but I don't think it's going to be this that does it. What's your sense, Liz? Is that?
Well, no, I think that's probably right for him. I guess one issue, obviously, is what's going on with these minor children who are being detained, and now we've got a second child who died in federal custody, and I don't know, arguably isn't the right word here, but either as a consequence of this new policy or what's now been called a Sessions policy. I don't know if you saw John Kelly's interview, just saying that it's Jeff Sessions who holds most responsibility for the separation of families at the border, that he's the one who threw down the gauntlet on that 6 months ago. But right. I don't know how much of this will Trump will be blamed for. I know, listen, the rank and file news are blaming him for it. But going forward with voters, where all that comes out, and if there are more instances of this, what we're going to see, how that will play out. And I also wonder how it's going to play out with Senate Republicans who are up in 2020. But, I was going over the history of government shutdowns. There's a great site that has all the shutdowns going back to 1976. The first one was under Gerald Ford. And you know what, Billy, no one remembers any of this stuff.
Nobody remembers any of it. Yeah.
You probably don't even know how many there have been and for how long. But, there have been actually 22 gaps in federal funding. I think 19 official shutdowns. Some of them were as short as 24 hours. I mean, they didn't hold. No one on this list lost a re-election because of it.
Right. And I'm sure the ones who remember are the employees. And again, we have to be sympathetic to them. I mean, I have a cousin who works for the EPA, and friends that are working down in the Trump administration and in other parts, and as you have friends as well. But you're right. It's historically doesn't mean anything. And maybe it's the right time to put the attention on all that has not been done by both parties on the immigration issue. I mean,
yeah.
Where I live is a large population of undocumented immigrants that came out of mostly Central America, and they, were in church together, and their kids go to school with my kids and the rest of it. And so I'm hoping that there's a way to make it all work out. But you can't leave the spigot open. You know what I mean? At some point you have to say starting now. And so maybe this highlights, and again, the wall's not going to do all of it. Like almost 60% of people in the country illegally or visa overstays, and most of them came by plane or bus through Canada.
Right.
So
right.
A wall's not going to stop that, but we need a e-verification system. We need the drones and the rest of it, and the walls and the fences, but especially we need enforcement. Like companies that hire people who aren't supposed to be here need to be penalized like massively so they don't do it. Unless there's a guest worker visa program.
Well, it will be remarkable if Trump is the one who ends up pulling off the immigration reform that everyone's been talking about for the last 20 years.
Right.
And he really might. He really might. Yes, because as you said a few minutes ago, he's got nothing to lose. His base is with him on this. It is what he ran on. It's not like he did a bait and switch here. This is exactly what he said was going to happen. Now, whether Mexico pays for the wall is, debatable. He'll somehow find a way to say that they did. But whether they do or not, here we are. And listen, George W. Bush didn't get this done, and Obama didn't get it done, and we just might get somewhere with this.
Yeah, I mean,
it might end up being.
It's true. Isn't it so? For me anyway. I just could speak for myself, but it's just so maddening this presidency, because there's part of me, and if you ever see my columns, I'm often like I'm very much a never Trumper. And it's like, get him out, get him out, get him out. He's destroying the conservative movement. He's destroying the Republican Party. And then the other side says, well, yeah, if he really doubled and tripled down here, he could win, like you're describing, Liz. And, maybe he goes to term limits next. You root for the things you like, I guess, and you root against the things you don't. I mean, I'd rather have another conservative Republican in the White House who I think could, any one of whom, of many, could accomplish the same things. But, we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Well, I think one of the other big issues right now for him, which really could have lasting damage, is the economy. This business with, playing, accusing the Fed chair of not knowing what he's doing, literally, basically of incompetence, dangling out there that he's mad at Mnuchin and then saying, I'm not mad at the Treasury Secretary. Having wild swings in the stock market over time. No matter what people say, it's really true that the voters still vote on the economy 99% of the time, 90% of the time. And he better have the economy going for him or he's really going to be in trouble. Then he'll really have nothing.
Yeah. No, that's right. It's so damaging, and the institutional damage. I know people want to dent the institutions and shake them up and the rest of them, but that's where I turn on the guy. You're right, Liz, with stuff like that, and going after NATO members, and not, and there's a way to go after people, and there's a way not to, and I worry about the lasting damage as well. But are you more sanguine for 19, or do you think we're right where you left off, or we're losing off the net?
That's a global question for me. By global, I mean personal.
Watch me throw it over to you.
You know what? Oh my Lord Almighty! Can I tell you, this sounds so cynical, but my New Year's resolution for 2018 was manage expectations, and it actually paid off, which is terrible. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be really optimistic or focused and disciplined. My attitude was, you know what? I don't make these I don't know about you, but sweeping resolutions how I'm going to change my whole life and then change the world while I'm at it. No chance.
I tell people I'm giving up sugar when they see me so they don't call me fat to my face, But I don't really mean it.
Well, you look at me and say you're working on it. I'm working on it. Yeah. I'm working in progress.
Shut up. No, I think it's a good plan for resolution.
I've got to tell you, I wish I were more sanguine than I am. But I'm not giving hope yet either. I will tell you, I don't like what I see coming out of the Congress that's coming in. I don't like the language. I don't like the rhetoric. It's not gonna help. Obviously, the strategy from a lot of these newer, younger Democrats is fight fire with fire. Rather than doing the Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. It's no matter how low they go, we're going to go lower. And I don't see how we're going to get anywhere with that. I just don't.
No,
as a spectator, I'm interested to see how the president does Nancy Pelosi. If they may shock us and actually get something done, but she's got a problem with her own caucus.
That's the problem, I think, and exactly. There's great opportunity for the Democrats if they wanted to use it. You're exactly right, Liz. Where they know that Trump is eager for accomplishments, and he would love to tweak the Republicans and jerk their chain a little bit by doing a couple of deals, infrastructure deals with Pelosi and Schumer. But you're right. But they've got that wild constituency within their party right now. Ocasio-Cortez. That whole wing of the party is just out for blood. And it's funny. I was thinking about this last night. I got to go see To Kill a Mockingbird. And I was thinking about
You did? Oh, I'm so jealous.
Oh,
wow.
Absolutely fantastic. And I'm not really a very often, I don't go to the theater very often. My wife does, and she brings her kids, which is a great thing to do. But I wanted to see this, and it was just magnificent. And we had a kind of a friend of the family in the show who was great. But it's really, really good. But I was thinking, Atticus Finch, who does the right thing. That's always his thing, is he does the right thing when everybody else, the Kipling. You will, when all the world is spinning out of control, and you keep your own, you'll be a man, my son, that whole idea. But the Democrats don't seem to be going that way. You're right. I mean, they're in there for the fight, and maybe their base wants that. They raise money off of it, but it's not going to help them, I don't think.
No, and you and I talked about this a bit when we went over the roster of potential 2020 Democratic primary candidates, and now we can put a finer point on that since Elizabeth Warren got in this morning, but I still believe that an optimistic message is going to be far more popular than coming out with an angry one. And I think you listen to Beto O'Rourke and you have it's a whole different approach from what you hear from Kirsten Gillibrand or Elizabeth Warren.
You said something in the last show that I just loved. You were talking about potential 2020 candidates, both on the right and the left, if Trump were not to run for re-election. And you said take the angry ones and throw them right out. And I completely agree. I don't know if the country is there or the primary voting population is there, but I think we're close to that too, Liz. I think that's right. It's we got to stop this. I mean, it's just not going to get us anywhere.
Well, I was thinking if you look back even at recent history, say the last 50 years, other than Donald Trump, who ran as an angry candidate and won? I think Trump
they
won
did well.
For
like Pat Buchanan did well, but didn't win.
But didn't win. I mean, you had
Obama,
right? You had Obama, and you had Reagan and George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, and Jimmy Carter was a little bit different. But go back and think about it. The angry candidates, unless there's something terrible going on in the country, they don't win. And I think, in Trump's case, as we all agree, that was a pot that was waiting to boil over for a long time, and he stoked it, and he did it magnificently to get himself elected. But by and large, those candidates don't win. They don't. Even McCain, in 2008 against Obama, he was just not the happy warrior. The first time he ran in 2000, it was all about promise, and he was angry. And I always
thought McCain should have, he probably would have been trounced, but I had the fantasy during that election that he just announced he's staying in Washington to do his job and send surrogates out to say great things about him. And it may have been a better campaign for him. But, you mentioned Reagan before, and I think it's an important point, is you mentioned Reagan in that group, and it shows that somebody can have as much conviction as a Reagan without being angry. Like Reagan was a hard-line conservative, you know what I mean? I mean, he came in and he was a firebrand. I mean, if you watch any of his speeches and pre-presidential speeches, the Rendezvous with Destiny stuff. I mean, this was a man on a mission and strident at times, but it was all optimism. It was all,
right.
It wasn't any anger.
I think you're right. Conviction's a great word to use to compare it. It was passion and conviction. That's exactly right.
It's not, and now people mistake anger with conviction.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. That's exactly right. And the rage, the anger comes off as being, frankly, as being a little unglued. It's like I don't need another just an angry leader is not someone who gives comfort to people who are looking for comfort.
Yeah. What do you think about Warren jumping in? Do you think she'll make a splash, or do you think the Pocahontas stuff is going to stick too much?
Or both? Are those mutually exclusive? Well, first of all, it's funny. Just yesterday, as you probably saw, the Times had a piece on for the Democrats who already were looking to hire campaign managers. You had Kamala Harris and Cory Booker and Elizabeth Warren and Gillibrand. I think two or three of them already hired someone. And maybe, I was wondering if maybe Warren wanted to separate herself from that pack immediately, which is why she did this video last night or today.
Yeah. I haven't seen the video yet. I'd like to see that. Was it any good?
No, I haven't either. Actually, I only saw a clip of the video. But I read some of the transcript. It looks like the exact same language that she's always used. It's all of one who works hard should have a fair shot in America. The big bad bankers on Wall Street. She covers all of the old tropes, I'll say. But obviously she's got to be taken seriously. I mean, she's capable. She's smart. She raises a ton of money. Apparently she's been building up a whole grassroots army over the last couple of years as she was out campaigning for candidates for the cycle. So not only did she just get some chits with some local candidates and, congressional folks she helped, but she's got some people on the ground now in some of these states that really matter. So there you go. Yeah.
The thing that terrifies me. Oh, go ahead, Liz. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to, but the last thing is, I don't know about you, but I'm not particularly interested in watching a boxing match between Elizabeth Warren and Donald Trump for the next 6 months, never mind the next 2 years. That to me is exhausting. I feel like we've already what's new. What's new there? And if that's the role she's going to play, and it looks like that it is, then I don't think that's a winner.
No, I agree. And but the thing that terrifies me is that because so many people passionately dislike Donald Trump and will do anything to knock him out of office, and that includes a number of Republicans and lots of independents, that we could end up with a truly left-wing president. I know Obama was truly left-wing,
right,
but even more strident than an Obama, and that scares the hell out of me. I mean, as a parent, especially with debt and the rest of it. But we could have a president that unabashedly flirts with socialism and doesn't call it out for what it is, and that's terrifying to me. It's one of the reasons why I really worry about Trump being there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. I mean, no. You're right. I was going to say, is that if Trump runs again, then
if he runs again,
of that, as opposed to whether he doesn't, and we've got at least have a primary.
Well, it's almost a reverse of what happened in 16, or would be a reverse, where Trump may have been the greatest horror for people on the political left and progressives. But because people disliked Hillary Clinton so much and were so sick of the Clintons, that they went with Donald Trump, who was calling for Muslim registries and really stuff that were freaking people out. And I worry about the same thing happening from the left, as a result of the kind of the ardor for against the strong feeling against Trump. But it's going to be a long year.
Democrats, it is going to be a very long year. This is probably a silly question to even ask, but do you think that they are going to coalesce behind someone who they think is the most likely to beat Trump, and they'll try to do that early, or you don't think that's the calculation here? It's really all these guys think that any one of them could beat Trump.
Liz, it's a great question, because I would normally, I'd like to get your take on this too, but I would normally say yes, absolutely, but they have to be so afraid of doing what happened in 16 against Bernie Sanders that they inflame that left-wing base even more. If they're believed to be coalescing around an establishment person, and the DNC gets caught again with its hand, trying to move the needle in favor of the establishment person, you could have a real problem on the left. I mean, they could go bananas, convention-wise. So it would make a lot of sense for them to do it, but I don't know. Do they dare?
Well, who's in charge of keeping any discipline in the party? Who's involved? Who's responsible for making sure that they don't cannibalize themselves to the point where they don't have a challenger who can pull it off?
I mean, it's really going to be the DNC chairman, but whether people listen to that or not, I guess we'll see. We'll see on it, but it's going to be quite a year. Do you have any favorites from 2018? By the way, any lasting, how would you describe 2018
for the Democrats? Oh, you're talking about in general
for the country, I guess. For the country, yeah.
Oh,
as we say goodbye to this baby, yeah.
Oh God, Dave Barry, who I just love. My sister Marianne sent a summary around of Dave Barry. Did a month by month of 2018, how horrible it was. Of course, it's laugh out loud, except for that fact that it's nonfiction.
Right.
But you just can't. It's exhausting. It was an exhausting year. And what was a highlight? There were no sports highlights for me. I don't know about you.
Oh, terrible. Ending with Notre Dame Clemson. Yeah, the blowout, right? Congratulations, Clemson, but I was with the other guys.
I didn't enjoy the election cycle one bit.
I didn't either.
As a spectator, I'll watch and think, oh, this is fun. I can't wait to see this guy. I really didn't. I was actually, like you, I spent most of the time with one eye open, just making sure that no one was coming after me. Other than that, I couldn't even enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think I would say a low point was the Kavanaugh hearing and everything that came out of it. Throughout that, when I say everything that came out of it, I mean what people revealed of themselves. I thought the way the Senate behaved was appalling. I just thought the media was horrible. I really thought that was probably the low point. What do you think?
No, I know. I think I repressed these things, the memories. But it just, the news happens so fast now, and I think some of it, or a portion of it, is Trump related because he moves fast and by Twitter and electronic media. but I think it's the media itself. Just we're in the age where stories come through and move so fast. They become all consuming for, 42, 72 hours or, a week and maximum. And then you're on to the next one. And it's just, it's like, do you remember like, when cable news first really got going, it was like the storms all became the thing. It's like, there was always the great hurricane coming in or the great,
right,
it was
weather
always,
became an event that
the
they
weather
covered for
became an
72
event.
hours.
It was everything. And now everything is that. Everything is that,
Right.
And it's, it is just squeezed to death for 72 hours and then on to the next one. So Kavanaugh, if you ask me when that happened, I might say, 1640, like 1778. Everything is so long ago. I think it was a rough
Stormy
one.
Daniels and Michael Avenatti. I mean, what the heck? And then, of course, there's Michael Cohen and all of that. There's North Korea. There was
North Korea, which is doing nuclear weapon tests again. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
All that. I mean, I think the market was good for a while for people that are investors, and I think that was good for the administration, certainly. But I think we're ending up the year on a down. And we're going into the, Mueller's going to presumably lay out his cards in the next 6 weeks. I keep saying the next 6 weeks. We've been saying that for about 6 months. But they may be really bad. They may be rough cards. So who knows? But 18 was, it was like just kind of like 17.
It was, and I do think what was one of the most profound, well, the three profound funerals, but one of the most profound things was the loss of both Barbara and George Bush and John McCain.
And John McCain,
that seemed to affect and touch people everywhere, no matter what your politics are, no matter where you live in the country, no matter how old you were when they were actually in their heyday. But it's interesting, and obviously again just reveals how people are desperate for some kind of both leadership, but even just civility and neighborliness and goodwill and humanity. Just all of it. People are desperate. And, I guess one of the things that does always bother me is sort of the lack of individual initiative to improve that. I mean, we're just sitting around waiting for someone to come along and say, hey, it's time to, turn the faucet on. We could all do something about it.
Yeah,
that makes me, longing for the good old days is really a waste of time.
But those funerals, and it makes me think about the British a little bit in how they have their pomp and ceremony. But those funerals, watching the Marine Guards carrying the caskets up the stairs, all that kind of stuff. It made me, it's funny, when McCain died, I was driving up to my parents' house in Connecticut. My father had died a few months earlier. And I didn't cry at my father's funeral. I just did the Stone Cold Irish thing, and you stuff it, you stuff it down there and let it come out some other way. But I was a mess on the McCain thing driving up, and I had been a bigger McCain fan, 15 years ago than I was 5 years ago. But it was the reminders of what we are, and then watching the images of those guards and the watching the Democratic speaker visit, the Bush, the casket, all that stuff that kind of brought us together. I'd forgotten it. And I think a lot of us we'd forgotten what it's like to be together as one as a nation. And, it really, it got to me, I got to say, and I know I'm just one of 330 million. But, hopefully we can get back there, and we will.
Yeah. Is there anything to look to now? We've talked about this, but do you see any leadership, whether it is politically or in the corporate America, or even in national sports, that can start? Doesn't have to be run for office, but can really serve as an example or a rallying point for people?
Not one.
Or do you think?
Not one. Not that they're not there, but I don't think there's a single one that has broken through. Because I think there are people out there that have tried to be that or have done their part where they deserve to be that, but you get put in a box too quickly now, and maybe that's as a result of our media and the digital age, is you get compartmentalized into one side or the other. But I don't see even looking for a Lou Gehrig speech, something that just shakes us and and kind of cuts through it. I don't. Do you see anybody out there? And again, they may be, and I'm sorry if you're that person and you're listening. But I don't see it.
They're all out there waving.
It's me.
You know, I don't see anybody. It's funny, you know, sometimes you'll see at the end of the year when the networks do their roundup of things that happen and they'll highlight special people. Often it'll be some school teacher, you know, in the middle of the country who's just had some tremendous impact. You know, in some under-resourced community, someone who's gone out there and, you know, gotten a whole group of first graders to graduate for the first time ever, you know, from high school after 8, you know, keeping an eye on them for 15 years, that kind of thing. I love those stories. But, no, there's no one on the political landscape. One of the things, I don't think we've talked about this, is, you know, when I look and see that, you know, the Super Bowl winners won't go to the White House because they're protesting, it really bothers me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the NBA champions wouldn't go either, or the Golden State Warriors. And I understand disagreements with presidents, believe me, but there are some things that I always thought were sacred's probably a little too strong, but those traditions matter. They matter. The fans watch it. You're setting an example. If you want to protest. You want to go, but for God's sakes, if that's going to break down every time the person in the White House is someone you really don't like, I think we've got a problem.
Agreed, and I think the president, whoever that president may be, should always make it easier for the people to come. You know,
right? Yes,
you know, if there's something you could do to soften it, you know, congratulations. Let's put politics aside and get together today. You know, whatever you have to do, there's always a way to do it. I've got to say one thing, Liz, which was very exciting, and I'll put it in the 2018 category, but moving towards 2019. Is I just saw that World War I documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old. Did you hear about it?
I just read when you tweeted about it, and then I read your piece. I read your note saying, go. I hadn't even heard about it. So why don't you tell everyone about it? Because it is absolutely extraordinary. And I mentioned it for 18 and going to 19. Well, 18 there was a special screening of it in 2 days, December 17th and 27th, and I was able to get a ticket for the 27th. And but apparently it's going to go to wider audiences on January 11th. But I really mean it because the technology used here is now the floor for technology in filmmaking. But Peter Jackson, and a lot of listeners probably already know this, but I'll go through it. Peter Jackson, who did the Hobbit movies and other things, a very talented director from New Zealand, was asked by the British Imperial War Museum to do something for the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I, and which is, you know, in 1918. And so they made available to him 100 hours of footage, of video footage, and 600 hours of audio footage. And they asked him what he would do with it, and he said, let me think about it. And he went in and he made a 2-hour documentary where he took, and I know people have seen colorized, black and white footage that's been colorized, you know, World War II in color. You'll see the thing on the History Channel, but that's not what this is. He and his team went through each cell of the World War I footage and did incredibly technologically advanced things with them to clean them up, to change them. I mean, all they explain after the movie. There's a little segment with him, and they turned this herky-jerky black and white, soundless World War I footage into 3-dimensional, perfect color, perfect movement film, where lip readers were brought in, like dozens of lip readers were brought in to determine what the soldiers were saying at the time, where they were from, what region in, say, Scotland or England or Germany at the time by their insignias, and then they did voices for them. And they brought soldiers of World War I to life, literally to life, where you're walking through the trenches with them. That's incredible.
You're literally walking through the trenches in 3-dimensional, and not those like cheesy glasses like, the old horror films, but like very, very well done 3-dimensional things. You still have to wear glasses, but they're plastic now, where you're literally walking through in trenches, and you're standing next to people that were there, and sadly, of the ones that were filmed, they say that most of them were killed, very soon thereafter. But you're looking at them, and they're looking at the camera, which is a big box at the time, and they're saying, oh, look, we're going to be in the movies, kind of things like that. And sure enough, they are in the movies in a way they could never, ever have imagined. Three-dimensional, color, crisp, right in front of us, and it's 100 years later, 99 years after they died or were killed. And it's so stirring and well done that it's like, if you care about history or interested, run to this. It's called They Shall Not Grow Old. Like, run to it when it opens. It's really worth it. And if you get a chance to hit a 3D
Where did
theater
you see it promoted? Because I didn't see anything about it until you wrote about it.
I saw a little clip in a newspaper, and then, I've always been interested in World War I history, and, I was always looking for documentaries, so I knew some of the footage. But I just saw it and then ran it down, and when I tried to get tickets to it, it was sold out everywhere near us. I went into Connecticut and found a couple of seats. And so it was packed. The theater's absolutely packed. But it wasn't well promoted as far as I know. It was just kind of PR and now word of mouth. But I think it's getting out there where it's really something. It's unforgettable. It's not something to bring kids to because there's a lot of battlefield gore. But it's really stirring. I'm so, we had a rough year, but I think the world should be so grateful to Peter Jackson. And I think I said, he should be knighted for it if he wasn't knighted already. Because it was such a service to those, men and women who died there, and there's nurses there, and there's Germans interviewed. I mean, it's really quite amazing. It's such a service to history that, he really did an extraordinary thing, and that's the kind of thing that makes me feel more optimistic about the future.
Of course.
There's still people out there that will call this type of thing and use technology for good, for good.
Yep. We're probably due for a new Tom Hanks movie, Tom Hanks war movie too.
That's right.
It's about that time. What has he been doing? Steven Spielberg.
What's he been doing? Exactly.
So on another note, did you read about the judge ordering North Korea to pay the Warmbier family $500 million for Otto Warmbier's death? Otto Warmbier's parents sued North Korea, and now I don't know how this gets resolved and if they actually get any of this money, but that was remarkable. That was.
Are you holding your breath?
I know. You're following through on the promises. Yeah.
But it is pretty amazing. I mean, I suspect that I don't think that the Trump administration is going to hold them to that in any negotiations. But I mean, I don't buy the North Korea negotiations at all. I mean, Kim has wanted, Un has wanted to meet with a president one-on-one, forever. I mean, that family has. So it's not, I think frankly, I think they've played us for fools, but we'll see.
But do you think things are just going to hum along status quo?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not worried. You're just,
I mean, I think they hum along status quo, but I think they're going to have nuclear weapons, and that's the terrifying thing down the line. And, and I think, so will a lot of people. I think the Saudis eventually will get nuclear weapons, and Iran will soon have nuclear weapons, and it's a freak out. It's scary stuff. But, and here I was feeling optimistic, Liz.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. What about the Supreme Court? There's a very good chance that the president's going to have a couple of appointments this year. I mean, I don't know if Justice Ginsburg is out of the hospital, which is a great thing. Boy, is she tough and strong. And, she was even working from her hospital bed when they were, working on some cancer that they found in her lungs. But she certainly seems frailer. And my understanding, too, is Clarence Thomas is waiting to step down. But I don't know what the sequencing is here. I don't know if there's some protocol or he's just doing it because of politics. But, the timing is around politics. But that could be, we could have another, you and I are talking about Mueller and the economy and the border wall, but we could end up in a whole Supreme Court thing in months from now.
That's right. I mean, I think with Justice Ginsburg, it could be Weekend with Bernie Part 2.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think she'd hang on by the nails, but it could happen. And then Thomas would be interesting too. I mean, I guess, I remind myself and that any good Republican president would appoint good conservative, judges. So it doesn't have to be this one. Yes. But if you were to get a third swing pick, a third conversion on the court, that would be a pretty big legacy, and that would be a good acclamation of what people said about Trump. We'll go for him for the court. But can you imagine? I mean, that's big stuff.
I know. Has there ever been a president who had 3 appointments?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I don't either. I should look that up. Somebody needs to
Google
that immediately and call us.
yeah, and call exactly. Do you think the wall goes through? Like, how do you think that the budget thing ends?
Yes.
I just popped up Drudge.
I think
you think it does?
I think some version of the wall goes through. I think what you said earlier is exactly right. Trump's going to stay loyal to his base. He's going to deliver on this because he ran on it, and pride is the most important thing for him. And I think he believes it too with the I think he firmly believes that this has got to be one core element of any immigration reform. So if he caves on this, then what does he have? So I don't know where the Republicans are going to stand. Now he's really in there. I think about a week ago he crossed that Rubicon and he's not going back.
Right. I think it's once he flipped back to saying I'm in. Yeah, I think he's definitely in. Do you have any sense of who next who may fill the vacant seats? Between I mean Kelly, I guess they've got that one set, but there's going to be some more vacancies in that administration.
They've got Mulvaney. But it seems to me by all indications that Jared Kushner is really driving the train in the White House, and the things that he actually runs, they get done. Whether people support them or not is a different story. But so my sense is now that General Kelly's not there, that it will be Jared Kushner who's driving the agenda,
right?
The policy agenda. So I don't know which cabinet secretaries are going to drop off next. There have been rumors about Wilbur Ross for a while, but I don't know how much that matters because it seems like trade policy is really being made by the president and Trade Representative Lighthizer and Larry Kudlow and Treasury Secretary. So I don't know that Wilbur Ross is
and Wilbur must be ready.
He is there.
He must be ready. I worked with him in the early '90s in New York on a couple things. He was a client at a PR firm I worked for, and super bright guy. But he must be getting near retirement. I mean, he's been around a long time. He's been a force in the world, but he's definitely getting up there. So that pace of working in a presidential administration, I've never done it. And that's got to be really taxing on somebody in their 70s.
Well, he's in his 80s.
Is Wilbur in his 80s now? Wow.
I think he's 82 or something. We should be looking that up too, but I think he is.
Yeah.
So, and especially this administration. I mean, look how it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Yeah. I just remembered something about him when he was married to Betsy McCoy, when she was lieutenant governor of New York, as you remember.
I forgot about that.
And they were briefly married, and where they loved to go to eat. He's 81, and Wilbur, a gazillionaire from doing a lot of turnaround deals and other things. But they used to love to go to McDonald's. They pull into McDonald's in the drive-through and get it to Lieutenant Governor and Wilbur Ross, the Wall Street giant, and which I always thought was kind of fun. Something about that administration.
What do you make now of the focus on the new climate deal, or getting a new climate deal, or the green climate agenda that some of these incoming Democrats are pushing, and that Bloomberg is really out there on this? It seems to me to be his signature issue.
Yeah.
It's always been a big issue, but it seems like if he really is going to take a run at 2020, that's going to be his focus.
Yeah, and he has, Bloomberg has a really good team around him. He's got a lot of former Clinton people and a lot of people that came up through him, that are, Howard Wolfson, who was Hillary Clinton's spokeswoman, is incredibly talented. And,
yes, he is.
And Kevin Sheekey and a whole bunch over there. Doug Schoen had done his polling for years, but I'm not sure if Schoen is still with him. But really, really sharp people. So I assume, I don't want to suggest that what he would be pushing is because of the polls, but I assume it would match with the polls if they're pushing that, or it may be just Bloomberg, really going out there with what he believes. But the climate stuff is, it's scary when you look at the international scene, because if things are as bad or potentially catastrophically bad as some scientists suggest, we're still adding to it every year. And, you know, I'm always of the mind that, you know, you keep your campground cleaner than when you arrive. And that was, you know, well before the, you know, kind of the hysteria about the environment. But, you know, I think you always have to work on the notion that you do the best you can. And we clearly have to move off carbon stuff, but we're adding to it every year. I mean, it's not getting any better. And it's not because of the U.S., but countries around the world. I mean, part the U.S., but, you know, China and India and other places are just cranking out carbon. And so I don't know how we're going to get consensus enough to actually start reducing carbon. Yeah. So, you know, maybe it's a good platform by Bloomberg. You just can't have America be completely uncompetitive because it's got more scruples than other nations.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you know.
And has the voting on this changed much over the years? You know, as far as priority, you know, single issue voters, how many people vote on the? I mean, I'd be curious to see over the last 20 years. It's not
been a factor, and you've been involved in a lot of these issues, and you ran for office and had a really good environmental record. But it was a very big issue 10 years ago, after, you know, when Gore first got that, you know, released his film. And I'm trying to remember the name of the film.
Inconvenient Truth, yes.
Inconvenient Truth, right, exactly. And suddenly everything was environmental for 2 or 3 years, and it would poll very highly in our polling that I saw for different candidates in, you know, what would make you vote for one over the other. And then it really dropped off the face of the planet. I mean, at least among voters that I was looking at, where it became a 6% issue or an 8% issue, and it was you know, economy, taxes, that kind of thing. And I think that was as a result of the 26, 27, 28 recession. But it's not been a really big issue at you know, in moving voters for a while. So, you know, maybe Bloomberg's onto something that others aren't, or maybe he's just determined to do something he believes in.
Do you think, what about guns? You know, I don't know how the Parkland voter movement affected the turnout in any of these elections. I didn't look at exit polls close enough to see, but I wonder if I guess that broadly would say might be, you know, this is how many younger voters turned out, and you could then deduce that a lot of them cared about these other, you know, guns, the climate. They're just anti-Trumpers in general. But I wonder going forward, what the real national platform and national agenda is going to be for these Democratic primary candidates. Because running just as the anti-Trump is not going to do it.
It's not going to do it. And in a lot of districts. Yeah, and I think in a lot of districts and potentially geographically in most of the country, running against guns is not a good political
strategy.
It's
not.
I mean, it's just not. I remember Chuck Schumer years ago when he ran the Senate committee, got the Democrats to stop pushing the gun. I mean, this is 15 years ago, to stop pushing the gun control efforts, or however you want to, whatever language you use, because he was a loser. I mean, I think in urban areas and suburban areas, it works, and I think you could damage a Republican and make him sound like, you know, a lunatic in suburban areas. But I think it really depends on where you are. So, you know, I don't know. Do you get a sense of? I think it's really so much regional.
I do think it is too. I agree with you on that. I don't know. Big picture, I mean, is the platform about fairness? I mean, I'm trying to think of all the words out there. Do they roll in the some of the Obamacare stuff that's still out there, Affordable Care Act stuff that hasn't been resolved around pre-existing conditions, and really, you know, how unsettled all that stuff is? Is it about income inequality, student loan debt? That whole all rolled into one big, you know, Elizabeth Warren line about everybody deserves the same fair shake.
Yeah, and I think here would be the dangerous move for the Democrats, meaning dangerous for Republicans. It's never going to happen. I'm looking at a picture of Elizabeth Warren raising her fist in the air like Joseph Stalin. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, not Stalin.
So she does, and when she says, "I'm angry and I own it," I told you that was her line. What kind of a bumper sticker is that?
Well, I know Kirsten Gillibrand started cursing in her videos about a year ago.
She was F-bomb.
Right. She'd be like, "I walk you down the street, F-bomb." I mean, just like it was just gratuitous, like Kirsty makes me more committed. But
yeah.
But it's I completely spaced on what we're talking about for a second.
Elizabeth Warren. Okay, fairness. So they're going to run on fairness.
On the fairness. What I was going to say would be dangerous for Republicans is if Democrats began to talk about the national debt. And if they made that move, if it was a centrist Democrat that started talking about the debt in any realistic way, it would be a really scary moment, I think, for the Republican Party that has lost that credibility. But when you look at Warren raising her fist, or Kirsten Gillibrand dropping F-bombs, or Booker or others, you just can't see them going there because they're all about spending more money, free college and single payer health care and all the rest of it. But
so who would have any credibility on that issue on the Democratic side? Joe Biden?
Like a Biden, like a Bloomberg, I think like a Bloomberg or a Biden, exactly.
Yeah.
Like someone right in the middle. But, whether they can get through a primary, we'd see. But I think that would be, it would be so counterintuitive, and it would talk to a lot of independents and a lot of disaffected Republicans disaffected with Trump. So it's, we'll see if they go there.
Do you think there would be any merit to a Biden candidacy that's where it makes a commitment to serve only one term and it's a kind of right the ship campaign?
Yeah, I think it would be his best play. I really do.
Yes.
It's, I think it's his best play, and I think it might not. I don't know. Do you go out early with that, Liz, or do you go out? Do you go out with an early Biden candidacy and saying, "Hey, he can beat Trump, and he's the best one in the polls, and let's all rally around it," or do you keep him in the wings for when the what hits the fan with all the leftists attacking each other? It's going to blow up and be a real mess. Does he then step in from the wings as the guy that they can all get behind? Like, how would you play that if you were a Biden consultant advisor?
That is such a good question, because if you look at the enthusiasm gap between the Republicans and these up and coming younger Democrats who just took over the House, I think you'd argue against coming out like Grandpa saying, well, steady the ship. It's kind of a wet blanket on what looks like a revolution, right?
Right.
Because if these guys don't stay energized, I don't know, they're not going to go vote for a Republican or anybody else, but I don't know that that's a good play. But will he look entitled as a candidate within the party? Will people be angry? I don't know how he's perceived among all the Clinton folks and the Elizabeth Warren folks and the Bernie Sanders people. I really don't. I mean, I'm sure the younger people.
Yeah, I think he probably splits it because everyone knows him as Joe Biden, who's always kind of a little bit towards the center, but he's also protected by Obama because he was his running mate. So the progressives, he may have that in between, but he's at the age. You're right. And if you wait too long, and too many candidates get momentum, or a couple of candidates.
Right. That's right.
And it's
and also
yeah.
I do think you really have. People don't want to think that the president is just kind of listen. We have a perfect example of this. Look at Paul Ryan, who took over the speakership very reluctantly. They did it out of a sense of duty. Remember, the place was a mess. Boehner stepped down. No one wanted the job. The caucus was all over the place. And Paul Ryan said, all right, I'll do it. That is no way to start your tenure. And I think it would, if it looks like Biden's doing it to sort of save everybody from, another round of Trump and this and that, I don't know that I don't think the party would go for it. I just don't.
Liz, you're making me remember a mentor of mine named Morton B. Lawrence, who's a wonderful guy who died in 2006 in New York. He was a local newspaper editor in New York, and worked in the New York Senate after that for a bunch of years. Also was at Normandy, and he took a German typewriter out of a German pillbox that had been destroyed and started a newspaper in the field. He's just an amazing guy. But Mort used to always advise that. He would say, some candidates would say, we're getting recruited, and they play this recruitment effort, come and recruit and be cute. And Mort would he would get so angry when they would try that. He would say, no, you have to jump in there and say, I'm running because I have to run. I'm compelled to run. I have, just what you're saying. Don't be cute about it. Jump in there and seize it, and say that you've been lit afire by life, and you're here for a purpose. I think he's right, and I always thought he was right, but yeah, I don't think you can go into this thing in a cutesy way.
No, I agree with you, and especially when you look at it again. Go watch these clips of Beto O'Rourke, and you see that fire in the belly. That's people do want that. That's why they got behind Obama. That's why they got behind Bill Clinton. That's why they got behind George W. Bush.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. I'm so embarrassed. I still haven't seen Beto O'Rourke speak. And I told you last week on the show that I would watch him.
What have you been doing? Come on.
I was actually had plenty of time to do it.
He's got a new video that he put together that's just about 2 minutes. You've got to watch it, about Trump and the border wall and immigration, and it's all everything rolled into one. You've got to check it out. That's 2 minutes. You can manage 2 minutes. And
I could definitely manage 2 minutes.
Watch him talking about the flag, the Colin Kaepernick, situation and kneeling at the national anthem.
And I'll watch Warren
too.
Okay,
this guy's real. Yeah, and then and then compare the two.
To me, thank God that Cardi B's not going to be singing at the Super Bowl, and I know she used the Kaepernick thing as an excuse. But I went to the what do you call it, the Z100?
The Jingle Ball.
The Jingle Ball with my daughter.
Swinger.
And she, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. I sat there like working on an op-ed, and my daughter was going nuts. But it was 12. But Cardi B sang, and it was I got to get out of here. And I know she's talented, and I know she's very popular, but she is not Super Bowl material. I mean, she was just, it was just, speaking of F-bombs and the rest of it, it was too much for these ears. But she tied it to Kaepernick. I think the NFL got lucky. So.
No kidding. Well, if you don't have 2 minutes for that, you won't have time for what I'm about to tell you. You should all be watching, which is the special. It's an 8-part series on Showtime on the escape at Dannemora, about the jailbreak in upstate New York.
Is it good?
2015. Riveting. I watched 5 episodes, and then I had to wait because I was caught up with the whole thing, last week. So then suddenly I was stuck doing, real TV, in real time. But I finished it last night. It is, and I watched 5 episodes about 10 days ago, and then I had to watch the last 2 over the last 2 weeks. Billy, you've got to watch it. First of all, the acting is magnificent. Patricia Arquette puts in a performance of a lifetime as the woman who's one of the corrections officers who helps them get away. The escape. It is Paul Dano, Benicio del Toro. The cast is fabulous.
Benicio del Toro is so good. Yeah.
Ben Stiller. It was Ben Stiller who directed it, produced the whole thing.
And I know she's really mad at him. Yes, I saw that.
I did see the front page of the New York Post. Yeah.
I am on it. I finished watching Trotsky last night on Netflix, and I'm ready for something new. That's how this guy's.
Kareem will love this. I mean, Georgia can't watch it. There's too much raw stuff in there, but it's not a lot of prison violence. You don't get a lot of that Shawshank Redemption stuff with its horrible scenes. One or two things where you're closing your eyes, but the rest. It's really about these 2 characters, and it is must-see TV. Do it tonight. It's a perfect New Year's Eve event.
2019 is brightening for me again. Here it is.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
And I think we have to jump in a couple of minutes. But one last thing for 2018. I just got to say, J.D. Salinger is 100 years old.
And living?
And living, as far as I know.
I'm only asking that because that's like that game is so and so.
Yeah, he's alive.
You're not sure. Wow, well, hats off to him.
100 years old. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Are they still alive?
Yeah, it's his birthday. I assume he's still alive. Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah. I think he's still hiding out.
Still in school? Or are they banning that too?
Oh, I hope it is. But it's a good question. It's a good question. We could do a whole show on the between that and To Kill a Mockingbird, and where are the novels that cut through these days and end up in schools? There hasn't been one for a long time.
No, there hasn't. Oh God. Well, I will tell you,
Get busy.
The book of the year, and I really should be her agent. I think I've probably sold 20 of her books in the last month. The book for me was Susie Orman's book, Women and Money. And I should have read it 30 years ago, and I've given it to all the young women I work with and my daughter. And yes, and Billy, it's never too late to do it. It's never too late to get your act together, no matter what it is. It's everything from should you lease or buy a car to should you rent or own a home to you. Do you spend your money on your college education for your kids or your retirement? To just good old-fashioned stuff. And
I love it. What's it called again?
Anyway. What's called Women in Money, but you can read it.
I can read. Yeah, that's right. I'll tap into my feminine side and go for it. That's right.
But it's a fabulous book. You don't give it to Elena and Maddie, especially Elena, where they get their first job. It's perfect.
And I should recommend a book for 18, but I'm going to double down on They Shall Not Yeah, They Shall Not Grow Old. Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Oh, good. Well,
anyway, I guess we have to go. I think we're out of time.
We do. Well, Happy New Year to you. It's going to be a great year. All kidding aside, and all this doom and gloom of last year was a tough year, but I feel like
there was so much good in the world. There's so much good in the world. That's right. And there still is.
Exactly right. And
every day.
Yep.
We're complicated beings, we people.
Oh God, it is a democracy.
Well, happy New Year.
In our house, which is a benevolent dictatorship. Happy New Year to everybody, especially
Happy New Year,
to Billy.
And thank you everybody for listening. And thank you especially to the station for having us on. It's been really a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a privilege, and we're looking to expand a lot over the next year, new guests and special features and all kinds of things. So please stay tuned.
That's right. Don't drink and drive.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Thanks. Yep. Happy New Year.
Okay,
Bye.
Billy, take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.